Hey, what's up guys? I'm back with another knife review. This time I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite knives of all time, which is the Spyderco Endura. This knife, you could press it into a couple of different roles, I would say. What I use it for is EDC, and I do like longer blades for EDC, so long as the entire package does not get too heavy. I'm more referencing things like the zero tolerance knives, for example. Even the Rat 1 is sort of in the ballpark, but it's over 5 ounces. These knives are pretty light, actually, everything considered. They come in at 3.4 ounces, which is just amazing, really. When you compare that to something like a Delica, I think a Delica is maybe 2.5 ounces or something like that. So this is really not that much bigger, considering you get a much longer blade. This one here on the bottom, this is mine, and this one belongs to a buddy, but it's been loaned to me for the video. So something that I love about Spyderco, and you can see it here, is just the different handle colorations that they make in a series. You can choose from whatever color you like. The chances are you'll find something there, and just this year I think they made the black handle come back. Back when they were doing the Saber Ground, they did have the black available, I believe, but they sort of bypassed that on the FFG series. So there's something there for everyone, even for women or dudes that like purple, like maybe the Joker or something like that. You can choose whatever you like. I do have a green handle Delica that I just rolled in there. I'll show you again, and this is what I bought first. I bought the Delica. This was my second knife that I ever bought, actually. And it's just amazing, really. But that's a subject for another video. So, they've been making these knives for a long time. I think this is sort of one of the classic designs of Spyderco. And these are long knives too. You can see like it barely fits in the frame that I have here. But so they've been around for a long time. This is one of the flagships of Spyderco, and I don't see it going away anytime soon. I understand that the FFG was sort of an experiment at one point in time. I guess back in 2010 or something like that. They were just giving it a try because they saw a lot of demand in the market for FFG blades, and rightly so. They are outstanding, but it looks like it's become permanent now. So we can all be thankful for that. Okay, so let's talk about the handles first. So the handles, I already mentioned, the color differences are so cool. And I think the colors are just outstanding too. When I was in the store buying this one, I had the choice between, pretty much everything. And I was thinking I might get a gray or a brown or something like that. But when I got them in the hand, this sort of aqua color blue, sky blue, this actually reminds me of the color of the water in Cancun, which I was there earlier this year, I guess. And if you ever get the chance, or even if you don't go there, just Google the pictures. Like, the color of the water there is amazing. And there's little sort of puddles of it, I would say, in the ocean that look this color. And there's a really interesting, like, scientific explanation for why that is. But I'm unfortunately not clever enough to understand it, but at least I can appreciate the color. So that's what that reminds me of. This orange over here, the friend that I borrowed this from, that's his favorite color, so that's that. But this, I guess, would be really good for search and rescue or like emergency personnel. Orange really contrasts nicely against any sort of natural environment, even against like concrete or something like that. That orange is going to stand out, so it's good for that, and I do think it's kind of cool too. So what else about the handles? So they have that bidirectional texturing here. And they also, this is an amazing design feature. Right here, they've got that flat portion that rides underneath the pocket clip. So when you're putting it in and out of your pocket, you don't get your pockets torn up by the texturing on the handle. But it doesn't take anything away from the grippiness overall of the handle, which is just outstanding. So what I think is so cool about these handles, other than the color, is that they've done something innovative with Zytel or FRN, whatever you want to call it. Basically plastic. They've made plastic cool. Everybody's on the G10 wagon. Like here's the military, for example, and I think G10 is pretty cool, honestly. But having a knife with a color like this and a texture as well, and in sort of a cheaper handle material, it doesn't take anything away from the coolness of the knife. I still think it's very cool. Okay, so inside the knife, you've got. Let me grab my flashlight here. But you've got steel liners, which does contribute to the weight of the knife a little bit, but not significantly. Let me put that down. So yeah, it does add a little bit of weight, but nothing major really, because they are heavily milled out there. You can see they're all drilled and very nicely skeletonized. Personally, I don't know. I'm not sure if I own any knives without steel liners, but you know, you can flex that handle a little bit. Like you can push it, and it does bend. Like it is plastic after all. So I don't have a problem with the liners in there, especially considering the overall weight of the knife is so reasonable. The lock is the back lock with the little, I forget what that's called there, but the little things so you don't accidentally disengage it when you're operating the knife. You know, I like that lock. I think it's pretty cool. I'm not like a lock expert or anything. I look at it more in terms of operability. How easy is it for me to use, especially one-handed? And I can open and close this knife one-handed, no problem. Like you can do it slow, or you can flick it open nice and fast. And the way that I close it is you just put your pointer finger there and push it down, and the blade will drop, and it rests there on your finger. You're not touching the cutting surface. You're touching, I don't know what they call that, but it's not sharpened anyways. And then you can just close it the rest of the way after that. So for a lockback, I think that this is pretty fast actually. It's not the fastest knife I've ever seen for sure. There's a lot of knives out there that will beat it, but it's good enough. I think most people would probably be comfortable sort of pushing it open and then just doing it two-handed. That's an option too. And you probably won't cut yourself as often if you do that. So yeah, that's the handle, the liners, the lock. The pocket clip, which the orange version doesn't have, it's pocket clip free, which is kind of interesting. I've never tried that actually, but something that's cool about having no pocket clip in, I suggest taking your clip off your knife at least once and just try it. I've done that before when I was swapping the clip from maybe tip up to tip down or something like that. And the knife does feel really nice in the hand without a pocket clip. You don't really notice it, especially on really nicely ergonomic knives like this. But when you take that clip off, you don't have it like bulging into your hand as much anymore, which is pretty cool. But I guess it does make the knife a little harder to get out of your pocket. So, you know, there's pluses and minuses for sure. Anyways, the pocket clip is that sort of standard, perfect Spyderco clip. This is one of my favorite clips really of all time. I'll show you what it looks like sort of as if it was in the pocket. You can see how much you'll have sticking out there, maybe about an inch or whatever, which I think is pretty ideal. It's just big enough to grab, but not too big that it's going to be banging around or something like that. And the clip does wear a little bit. You can see that there's some a little bit of chipping here, and that will happen over time. I've got another, here's my Delica. It's a little bit older. You can see it's a little bit more chipped, and it basically wears around the edges. I think that would be a pretty easy fix if it really bothered you. I have a military here that's like a little bit older, I think, and you can see how it wears nicely. That's the thing. It does wear, but it looks good. It's not like the cold steel knives or whatever, where it's paint and it chips off and just looks horrible. So okay, that's that. It is screwed together with Torx screws, so you can take the handle apart because it's not a flow-through design. I've never done that, and I've heard bad things about the overall process. I think that there's probably easier knives to take apart than this one, but you know, to each their own. Okay, so then let's talk about the blade. So I would call this a spear point blade because it is very pointy. It's a long blade. I think this is about 3.5 inches, which is it's long for EDC. Like I'm not gonna lie about that. I'll just cut a little bit of paper here so you can see the sharpness. Nice and sharp. Let's give the other one a try. See how it does. Oh yeah, that's nice. I think that my friend who owns this knife, he does stropping pretty seriously, so that's probably why it performs a little better than mine does. But yeah, very nice and sharp. So the blade steel is the VG10, which is pretty much my favorite steel. I think I have to say, like I may be wrong in saying this, but there doesn't seem to be like that many knives in VG10 other than Spyderco. I'm sure lots of people could probably prove me wrong and find them, but I find it's much more common to see the CPM 154, like with the Benchmades or the the 8CR13 MOV, S30V. I find that those are like a little bit more common. But yeah, it's a Japanese steel, and this knife is made in Japan, that you can see there on the blade. And yeah, I love it. I think it's awesome. I think that this steel has been getting more expensive, or maybe something that's happening with the dollars or whatever. So these knives have been going up in price. I always used to hear, oh, they're $50 or something like that. And, that's America. Canada's always more. But I paid, what did I pay for this? I think I paid around $70, including tax, for the Endura. In my mind, it's worth it because it's very cool, and also just ergonomically, it's awesome. It's basically a perfect EDC knife, depending on who you are. If you do like longer blades, then you're going to love this. And it goes in the pocket basically invisibly. Like, it's not banging around. It's not thick. It's a very like thin overall design. So you don't even notice that you're carrying it really. And not only can it handle sort of smaller tasks, but you've also got that extra maybe inch or inch and a half of blade to handle larger tasks. And let's just speak to the sort of defensive aspect of the blade, and I do think it could function that way. And a perfect thing to roll in next to it for this discussion is the Spyderco Military. It's a longer blade for sure. I guess this is about a ½ inch longer, the Military is, and the handle is more substantial, I would say. But they're comparable in some ways. That's basically double the price. But yeah, so I think that if you're going to want to use a knife defensively, or even offensively, if you're like an evil person or something, you're going to look for a longer blade, because that gives you more reach and just less margin for error, for sure. I'll show you the Paramilitary as well next to it. Paramilitary is actually the smallest of the three. The handle is pretty much the same compared to the Endura, but the blade is a little bit shorter. Not much, maybe like a ½ inch or something like that, but it's smaller for sure. So yeah, it's an amazing knife. I want to collect the whole series. I would love to, if money was no object. Like all those colors are cool, and I could see myself carrying them all at different times or others. Too many knives, not enough money, and not enough things to cut up with them, that's for sure. But yeah, the Endura series are absolutely outstanding. I didn't talk about the blade grind. So it's the FFG, of course. And in my experience, it's my favorite blade grind for sure. Not only due to the performance, which I really think is kind of overrated, honestly, over something like a hollow grind or the saber grind or whatever. I think what really matters is the edge. Is your edge sharp? And some people would probably disagree with me on that, but anyways, what I really like about the FFG is just the simplicity of it. It sort of reminds me of like a kitchen knife or something like that. It's nice and thin, nice and clean design, and yeah, it's just awesome. So I have no problems with the FFG. In fact, I prefer it, but I'm not like fanatical about it. For me, it's more an aesthetic thing than it is a functional thing, but it does function well as well, also. Yeah, so I think that's about it really. If you've never held an Endura before, which I know you're probably one of the few people on the planet that hasn't, that's a lie. One of the few people in the knife community that's never owned an Endura or handled one. I definitely encourage you to go try it out in the store. And if you're on the fence, if you're thinking, oh no, I want to get the Cold Steel Recon 1 or something instead because it's more badass looking, yeah, maybe it is. I don't know. Like these knives are not the most flashy knives in the world. They're not the most fun knives to play with. Like, how fun can a lockback really be, honestly? It does take more energy, I would say, to open it and close it, just because of the locking mechanism, and also the sort of size of the blade. It's just got more mass to it. But aside of the, it's not badass and super cool, but functionally it's amazing, and I do think that you'll enjoy it. Thank you for watching.